Hey Evan, it's Dave Olkowetsky. First of all, I just want to say thanks very much. My team and I really appreciate your support, and also a big thanks for all that copywriting. Super helpful. I think I mentioned this in my email or maybe on Instagram. American Cutlery Company it's a really cool tagline. I got to figure out if we want to use it. I think we might. Anyways, I'll keep you apprised. So thanks again for that. So I'm going to do what I do for every customer. So we perform a QC inspection, and then I go through my eight pointers to ensure that your knives last forever. So we're going to do that part first, and then I'm going to do the QC on your blade. But before we go too far down the list, since this comes at the end, I want to show you at the beginning. This is your knife right here. It slices through magazine paper like nobody's business. If you don't want to watch the rest of this video, that's totally fine. But I just want you to know, your knife, it slices real good. Okay, so first things first, use this only to cut food. I don't know what your skill level is in terms of sharpening, if you're using stones or using some sort of electronic sharpener. We like the Work Sharp. It's a superb product. It's very, very quick learning curve. You can get your blades razor sharp. They use genuine Norton abrasives for their belts. Those are the same type of belts that we use. Obviously, we have much larger belts and like obviously very, very professional equipment. But that's generally how we put an edge on a blade. So same equipment in terms of the underlying materials, really, really high quality. Use your knife, like I said, on food and only food. Avoid frozen foods. Paring knife's not really meant to break down an animal, but in theory you could. It would just take a while. You can bring it up against bone. I would not be trying to slice through, a femur, for instance, on a pig. Chicken bones, fine, no big deal. Number 2, wash and dry immediately after use. I'm sure I don't need to go into too much detail here, but you want to wash with warm or hot water ideally, because that evaporates more readily, and then you want to dry it completely so it's bone dry before storage. Otherwise, you can see some potential a patina developing. It's called patination. So make sure your blade is totally dry. Obviously, you want to make sure that you are removing all sodium chloride or salt in general and acid from the blade. Super important, because those will eat away at the free chromium layer, which is what actually causes a stainless steel to be stainless. It's the excess chromium that's not in solution. Treat your blades with mineral oil, super important. That's just another way to keep any possible corrosion or patination away from the blade. It forms a physical barrier. Food grade mineral oil has no taste. It's also really, really great for all handles, including our handle material, which is made out of Richlite. The underlying raw material in Richlite, 65% recycled wood pulp. So essentially wood, and that's a really great way to keep it nice and fresh and moist and so on. Food grade mineral oil, you can get it for a couple bucks at Target. Also really great for cutting boards. Superb for stainless steel appliances, stainless steel garbage cans, whatever else you've got. You want to use the right cutting board, super important. Lots of different kinds of woods out there. Generally, you can't go wrong with a true wooden cutting board. Remember, bamboo is not wood, it's straw, high in silica. It'll be very aggressive in terms of wear resistance on your blades. So maple, cherry, walnut. Of those, maple is the hardest in terms of Jenka hardness, so it's going to dull your edge a little bit faster, but those boards are usually a little bit cheaper. I have a combo cherry and walnut board, whatever. Here, I'll show you why not. So this is made by a friend of mine at Brooklyn Cutting Boards. Really, really high quality board. Brooklyn Butcher Blocks. Now, so wood is great. You don't want to use wood for animal proteins. Very important. Well, listen, you can if you really want to, but it's just hard to get all of that potentially E. coli, etc., out of the board. We like to use plastic boards for animal proteins. The reason is you can throw them in the dishwasher and completely sanitize them. You can't throw a wooden board in a dishwasher. Synthetic rubber boards are great as well. Those are especially good for folks who slice. It's not particularly good for people who do a lot of rock chopping or chopping like this. The reason is synthetic rubber will scar up pretty easily. Important tip that very few chefs know. When you're done, cooking or dicing or slicing, and you go to move the food, scrape the food, essentially, you don't want to use the cutting edge of the blade. We recommend using the spine of the blade because the spine is very, very thick material. You can't really hurt it. The cutting edge it's very narrow. It's really tough, but it's also narrow, and there's just no reason to ever scrape with your cutting edge. Another alternative is to use a bench scraper. These are great. Just scrape, scoop, and throw it into your pot or whatever it is you're doing. Obviously, never use the dishwasher. It will absolutely wreck your knives. Super hot, super abrasive caustic material. That's a dishwasher detergent. You have the potential to hit the edge up against other really hard items, like other steel cutlery, your ceramic plates. Ceramic is harder than steel. It's just not a great idea. It'll also remove all the moisture from the handle, and finally it'll pull out all of the epoxy. So you're going to significantly decrease the structural integrity of your handle as well. No good reason to ever throw a blade into the dishwasher. You want to store your blades on wooden magnets or some sort of magnet, ideally. So let's say this piece of paper, let's use this bench scraper as an example. Let's say this bench scraper is my magnet. Here's my knife. I'm going to put the spine of the knife, that's the back of the knife, onto the magnet and then rotate it on. And then when I'm going to take it off, I'm going to just rotate it so that the cutting edge is pointing out, and then I'm going to pull it off. I never want the cutting edge up against the magnet. This is a wooden prototype, by the way. I like to say steel on steel is never ideal. God, that sounds embarrassing to say it out loud. Anyways, you get the point. You only want to put your cutting edge into a cutting board and through your food. Super. Number 8, most important one that everybody talks about in terms of knife maintenance is keeping that edge in good condition. The best way to do that, actually the best way to do that is with the work sharp. So it has a 3000 grit belt. It's awesome. Total awesome piece of equipment. If you don't have a work sharp, the next best thing is to use a honing rod. So there are 2 primary types of rod. One is steel, one is ceramic. You can throw your steel ones out. They usually have ridges. They're not as hard. If you have any sort of micro chipping, it's going to cause the fracture to potentially expand throughout the blade. It's just not a good idea. Ceramic is the way to go. There are 3 primary ways that people use the rod. One is out like this. We don't like this method. It's bad for angle control. You have the potential for hitting somebody, and you're also often just like going into the blade. Really suboptimal. This is the other way that we'd like to say is wrong. Butchers use this very often. One of the things we don't like about it is you have the potential to hit your edge up against this finger guard. That's like the exact opposite of what you want to do, because it's going to potentially it's going to dull your edge doing that. Also bad angle control there as well. The right way to do it is to place your ceramic honing rod into the cutting board. Place the blade edge side up against the ceramic rod at the very heel, and then slowly move it down and back on both sides. It's really easy to maintain good edge control. You can do that about 3 or 4 times per side prior to service, or if you're cooking at home prior to cooking. Obviously wipe the blade down after you do that, because you're going to have a little bit of ceramic a little bit of steel coming off. Now, that's maintenance. That's daily maintenance. That could be weekly maintenance. I'll be honest with you, I don't maintain my knives daily or weekly because Elmex, it's so hard, it just doesn't need it, as I'm sure you know. Look, I mean, if you're cooking, we like to say every 10 to 15 hours you should put it onto the honing rod. That's going to reduce the frequency of sharpening. I go a month plus without honing sometimes. I'm super embarrassed to say it, but it's true. Our blade can handle it. Other blades, it's really ideal to do it. Sharpening is different. like I said earlier, WorkSharp is a superb tool, super easy to get up the learning curve. It's like a minute to sharpen a blade that I wouldn't say is dull, but can no longer slice through tomatoes. Super, super dull blades, you're gonna have to do a little bit of work. You can probably get a super dull blade sharp in about 5 minutes on a WorkSharp. Stones are great as well. Look, the way to sharpen less frequently and to have shorter sharpening sessions is to maintain your knives with a honing steel. That's it on the knife care tips. Now let's inspect your blade. Again, this is your brand new 3.4 inch midnight paring knife from ArtisanRevere. So, just a second. I'm going to, oh no, we'll use this right here. So I have a little QC checklist. So the first thing I do is I'm checking to make sure that the pins, these are the two pins, are flush with the handle. They are. Next I'm going to check the handle, make sure it's totally smooth. I'm going to inspect it visually and then physically to confirm that there are no gaps in the blade. There aren't any. It's really, really nicely done. I'm going to re-oil this and re-clean it prior to shipping it out to you, of course. With a paring knife, you want no flex in the tip. You want this thing to be rock solid, and it is. That's great. We soften the spine on every knife. We soften the choil on every knife. That's well done. I like to check to make sure it just feels right on here. This is super. The way you hold a paring knife, and you may know this already, I apologize if you do, you hook your middle finger under the choil area, and you're going to get your thumb as far up on this as possible. You don't actually have to touch it, obviously, but whatever you're, paring or cleaning or hulling, you want that in your support hand. I'm lefty, so this is in my left hand, and I've got the fruit or the vegetable or whatever on the right hand, and so I'm just going to work with both hands this way. Super. Let's just do a chip test. So I like to run it through my fingernail. Oh yeah, this is really grippy. That's good. Let's just do a test like this where I just put it into my fingernail at an angle, basically. So I can put my fingernail down like this. Another thing you can use for this is a Sharpie or a permanent marker or whatever. You just want to make sure that it's going to actually stick. And so that tells you that it's really, really sharp. And why not? Let's do the magazine test again. Let's just confirm that it's super straight, no warpage, no twisting. Yeah, that's perfect. Sir, you have a superb knife coming to you. I'm very excited for you to get your hands on it. My team and I, like I said, we really appreciate your support. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to us. I hope you love your new paring knife. I hope you're enjoying your chef knife. Let me know if I can answer any questions for you. And I'm here. Thanks so much. Have a great day.